You have Dorcas from Seven Brides for Seven Brothers playing the devil, and it was where I got my first boner, and it was amazing.
Dorcas boner, everyone.
This episode is going to be all about what is streaming on Netflix, because we know all of you bitches got Netflix.
Well, there are two great movies from me that I think you should absolutely rent or buy. Rent it, bitch. And my first pick is definitely in the realm of what's gay about it, and that is the movie 9 to 5. With me, 9 to 5 is almost perfection. You have Dolly Parton, Lily Tomlin, and Jane Fonda. I don't think it can get any better than those three. My second recommendation is the stoner classic Half-Baked.
Now, my two movies that I recommend that you definitely need to rent or buy if you have not seen yet, well, they're a little bit different than 9 to 5. My first one that I would recommend is Alexander Payne's Election. And Election, I think, is by far his best movie. Plus, it's got my boy Matthew Broderick, who I absolutely adore. My second movie that you still have a couple more weeks to be able to see is Kevin Smith's Clerks. And his writing is so damn good that it doesn't matter how fucking abysmal the acting is. It's a phenomenal movie. You got 2 more weeks to watch it. After that, you need to just own it.
And after that, please don't walk around with a hockey jersey on all the time.
All the time.
All the time. Award shows. All the time. One movie we can both totally agree with.
I ain't even gonna half-ass this. You should not rent Blade Runner. You should own Blade Runner. For all you little bitches who love Christopher Nolan, you wouldn't have him if it wasn't for Blade Runner.
So are you a theatrical cut or a director's cut?
I would have to say, and you might disagree with me, I'm always theatrical cut.
I do think that too often, especially director's cuts that are done way after the film was made, they are ruining their movie, George Lucas. In this case, I do love the theatrical cut. I think it is exactly what you saw at the time, why it became a phenomenon.
So one of the first movies that I recommend is because I love shitty comedies. I love these not good quality. If you were looking on Rotten Tomatoes, it's probably a 56 to a 60%.
Van Wilder.
Van Wilder is a perfect example. This one is Just Friends. Again, starring Van Wilder. You have Ryan Reynolds as a super fat guy who always wanted to be with his high school sweetheart and never was. And then he loses contact with her, loses a bunch of weight, and becomes a douchebag, and that's pretty much your comedy right there. And ever so often, you find one of those chick movies that you actually legitimately love and is a damn good movie. Bring It On is a legitimately wonderful movie. I love it. I don't know why there's a Broadway musical on it.
Which is terrible.
Yeah. But the movie itself is, you get why it's a classic. Bring It On. It's the girls' version of Fast and the Furious.
Oh shit.
It kind of is, though.
No, it totally is. It's just I've never. Yeah, I mean it is. Coming out May 11th is my first choice, which is Chelsea Handler's new talk show. Putting Chelsea Handler onto a service where there aren't necessarily ratings or television audiences to be beholden to is quite an interesting concept. Coming out May 6th, which will have already come out by the time you see this video, is the second season of Grace and Frankie, starring Lily Tomlin and Jane Fonda. This television show is quite groundbreaking. It has Martin Sheen and Sam Waterston playing their ex-husbands who divorce them so that they can get married. The storylines are amazing, and I cannot recommend this show enough.
And finally, what we can both agree on that you absolutely need to watch, it's now on Netflix, is Pleasantville. For me, the reason why Pleasantville is such a damn good movie comes to my inner beginnings, and that is one of my favorite shows of all time. Actually, in my opinion, the greatest show of all time is The Twilight Zone. And you've got some great acting moments, but also it just feels like a classic Twilight Zone episode.
And one of the things that I think is so brilliant is that the acting is so subtle. It's cheesy. It just slowly turns into a more real movie. And I cannot recommend this movie enough. not for just one factor, for the costume design alone. Okay. Everything that Joan Allen wears is perfection from this time period, and the tailoring is some of the most impeccable tailoring I've ever seen in a film.
The one odd thing to me about Pleasantville is what is up with Jeff Daniels loving these colored black and white type of movies. You got Pleasantville, Purple Rose of Cairo, he was Dorothy and Wizard of Oz. It's just weird. I don't get his infatuation with it.
Isn't that Judy Garland? That shit's what's gay about it. Judy Garland was Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. If I don't know that, I'm getting my gay card taken away. Our feature this week on What's Streaming, which is the pick we think you should definitely not miss, is the unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. Starring Ellie Kemper, whose pedigree is from Bridesmaids, The Office, and 21 Jump Street.
And then you also have Titus Andromedon.
That's the character's name.
And then you have Titus Burgess, who
Isn't it Burgess?
Burgess? I don't know. Secondly, you have Titus Burgess. Like Burgess Meredith. Secondly, you have Titus Burgess, who is truly the soul of Kimmy Schmidt, the show. He is hilarious, phenomenal. He is the only reason there is a second season of the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
Someone needs to write a book of all his one-liners that he has in that TV show, because everything he says is a Facebook status.
Hilarious.
I hear Montreal has a vibrant theater scene, so au revoir, Les Felicias. Okay, but just in case, I'm gonna keep on packing, at least until my blood sugar drops. There it is.
What dear?
I said I'm a homosexual having a panic attack. I find that life is mostly gray areas, especially the parts I can't reach with moisturizer. Oh, and these shants. Shorts that are as long as pants. Unacceptable! You people don't know the meaning of the word sensuality extravaganza!
Now, ultimately, why I originally was so excited for Kimmy Schmidt and why I think it's so successful has to do with its relation to one of my television obsessions, and that is the brilliance of 30 Rock.
For me, I love it too because it's brilliantly stupid. And when it came out, it was new and fresh. And it is difficult in comedy, particularly half-hour comedy, to come up with a concept that is different than something we've seen before.
So you have Tina Fey and Robert Carlock, who started 30 Rock, and it's all because of them, and they're the same people behind Kimmy Schmidt, and you can definitely see it when you're watching Kimmy Schmidt.
Probably the most in Kimmy Schmidt is all of the 1990s references that they're making throughout the show, because that was the only frame of reference that Kimmy Schmidt had before she was put into the bunker. And they are making amazing references from Columbia House, music on tape, which probably this guy doesn't even know what it is since he was born
92.
Fuck. Old. Be fat old and a little not old. That's what this show should be called. Now, one of the best things about Netflix is there seems to be television shows and movies that never leave Netflix. And the one that I wish you would watch is The West Wing. I don't think I have to convince many people that it might be the best drama ever put on television. Aaron Sorkin is brilliant. I fall asleep to it. When I'm bored, I watch it. I know every episode backwards and forwards. And shout out to the podcast West Wing Weekly, which just started up, co-hosted by Joshua Malina, who is actually on the show.
Now, I mentioned before what I think the greatest show of all time is, and I think the best part about it is that it is on Netflix, and that is the Twilight Zone. I think all of the greatest movies that are science fiction, all of the things you like about with Memento from Christopher Nolan, and all these different things, that all harkens back to Rod fucking Serling.
Now we come to the part of the show that has made us a worldwide phenomenon, and by worldwide I mean my living room. So what's gay about it on Netflix for me is the series Sense8.
Absolutely. I mean, right from the beginning, I have one word: rainbows. And not in the way you're thinking.
Not at all. But why I think this is definitely what's gay about it politically is there's a trans character, there's a gay character, they're played so well. The trans character is played by an actual trans person. And what stereotypically gay David loves about it is that there is full frontal male nudity in multiple episodes. And I don't mean while it walks by or while someone's being tortured, Game of Thrones, but I mean full frontal nudity, and it's lovely.
Now, with what's straight about it, I would say, we touched about it briefly in our previous episode, but that would be what Marvel is doing on Netflix. You've got Daredevil and Jessica Jones, which is what every straight guy needs. You get all the action with Daredevil and all the sex with Jessica Jones. And she's an alcoholic. I love it. Don't forget to like,
Subscribe.
share, if I could turn back time.
This is what I deal with every night.
Instagram.